D-Mac is moving like he's got something to prove, but every move he makes proves the opposite. Each episode, he's slipping deeper into that mix of pride and foolishness that gets people killed in Tommy's world. This isn't just about bad choices, it's about ego, loyalty, and the cost of trying to play gangster without truly understanding the game. And now in episode 2, Tommy's patience finally cracks. D-Mac has been spiraling for a while, and episode 2 just makes it clear he's in way over his head. The kid came into Power Book 4 Force as someone with potential, someone smart enough to navigate the streets while still learning from Tommy. But that potential, it's fading fast. Every episode, D-Mac seems to forget where he came from and who's been trying to guide him. He's acting out, trying to make moves that he's not ready for. And it's written all over this episode like a warning sign. This isn't the same kid who used to look up to Tommy. You can see it, he's tired of being in someone's shadow. D-Mac wants power, fast. He wants respect, but he's not earning it. He's demanding it. And that's where he's slipping. Because in Tommy's world, respect doesn't come from talking tough, it comes from being smart, from surviving, from knowing when to listen and when to move in silence. D-Mac is doing the opposite of all that. He's loud, reckless, and too emotional to play this game the right way. Episode 2 gives us that moment where everything starts to shift. D-Mac thinks he's ready to handle business like Tommy does, but the truth is he's not even close. He's thinking like a kid, not a soldier. There's this quiet arrogance in how he moves, like he believes the streets owe him something. But in Chicago, and especially under Tommy's rule, that kind of attitude only leads one way down. Every line, every look, every bad decision is showing how far he's falling. He's chasing validation instead of purpose. He wants the title, not the responsibility that comes with it. And Tommy sees it. That's what makes this episode hit hard. Tommy's no fool, he's been around too long. He recognizes when someone's about to self-destruct. You can see that mix of anger and disappointment in his eyes. He's been trying to protect D-Mac, trying to mold him into something real, but you can tell he's starting to realize that maybe D-Mac doesn't want saving. Maybe he wants to learn the hard way. And that's the scariest part, because when Tommy loses patience, things don't end with a lecture. They end with consequences. The tension between them builds without needing many words. You can feel it in the silence, in the way Tommy watches D-Mac act out like a ticking time bomb. D-Mac's trying to act like a man, but he's playing a boy's game in a grown man's world. And every episode, he's becoming a mirror of what Tommy used to be: hot-headed, impulsive, dangerous, but without the experience or control that made Tommy survive it. That's why this version of D-Mac feels like a tragedy waiting to happen. You can see where it's heading, but he can't. He's too caught up trying to prove something that doesn't need proving. By the time we reach that confrontation scene, it's not just about what D-Mac did, it's about everything that's been building up to it. Every lie, every disrespect, every careless move, it all piles up until Tommy has no choice but to check him. And honestly, it's been a long time coming. Because in this game, when you start to forget who's in charge, someone always reminds you. Tommy's just doing what the streets taught him. Control chaos before chaos controls you. And right now, D-Mac is the chaos. This scene between Tommy and D-Mac isn't just another argument. It's the explosion we've been waiting for since the season began. The tension has been building in every sideways glance, every disobedient move, every "I got this" moment that D-Mac clearly didn't have. Episode 2 finally puts it all on the table. It's raw, heavy, and more about emotion than violence. Tommy doesn't raise his voice because he doesn't need to. His silence speaks louder than anything he could ever say. When Tommy checks D-Mac, it's not just about business. It's about betrayal. It's about disappointment. It's about watching someone you tried to save walk straight into the fire anyway. You can tell D-Mac doesn't even understand the gravity of what he's done. He's still trying to justify his actions, talking like he's running the streets, like he's got everything under control. But Tommy's not buying it. He's seen this movie before, and it never ends well. The way he stares at D-Mac, It's like he's looking at a ghost of his younger self, all pride, no plan. And that's what makes this confrontation sting. Tommy isn't just angry. He's hurt. He's been trying to build something, and D-Mac's been tearing it down from the inside without even realizing it. What makes the moment powerful isn't the words, it's the unspoken message behind them. Tommy's body language says it all. He's standing his ground, controlled, cold. D-Mac, on the other hand, is all energy, pacing, arguing, throwing out excuses. It's a perfect contrast of experience versus immaturity. Tommy has learned that silence is power, that calmness is a weapon. D-Mac still thinks being loud makes you real. That's where the generational gap between them shows. One has survived the streets. The other is still trying to prove he belongs there. The scene hits harder because of what it represents. Tommy has always played both mentor and executioner. He lifts people up just to test if they can survive in his world. With D-Mac, it's different. There's real care underneath the frustration. He doesn't want to kill this kid. He wants to wake him up. You can feel that in the way he handles the conversation. He doesn't explode. He doesn't swing. He just tells the truth. And that truth is simple. D-Mac's acting stupid, and stupid gets you killed. In a city like Chicago, loyalty and logic are all that keep you alive. And D-Mac's losing both. There's a small but telling moment where Tommy pauses before he speaks, that tiny breath that says, "I'm giving you one last chance." It's the same tone he used when Ghost used to disappoint him. The same quiet before something irreversible happens. It's that kind of moment where you can feel the power dynamic shift. D-Mac thinks he's standing up for himself, but really, he's standing on a cliff's edge. Tommy's words aren't just scolding. They're warnings wrapped in truth. You think this is a game. The streets don't play fair. That line hits harder because it's not said with anger. It's said with experience. D-Mac, though, still doesn't get it. He keeps talking, keeps trying to prove his point. And that's what makes the scene feel so tragic. He's too blinded by pride to see that Tommy's trying to protect him from himself. This isn't a power struggle. It's a survival lesson disguised as an argument. But D-Mac doesn't want to learn. He wants to lead. And that's what makes Tommy snap. You see it in his eyes, that shift from patience to finality. He's done explaining. Now it's time to remind D-Mac who's in charge. The air in that room turns heavy, and you can feel it, that pressure before something breaks. D-Mac's voice starts to fade, replaced by the weight of his own mistake. Tommy doesn't need to yell. His stare alone does the job. It's the kind of stare that says, "You've crossed a line, and I can't pull you back anymore." This is the moment where their bond cracks. It's not shattered yet, but you can see the split forming. D-Mac's pride versus Tommy's authority. It's oil and water. End episode to proves they can't mix forever. What makes this clash so real is that it's not about money or drugs or territory. It's about control. It's about a young man who wants to be seen as equal and an older one who knows equality in the game only comes with scars. Tommy's trying to stop D-Mac from earning his first one, but D-Mac's determined to learn the hard way. That's what makes this scene one of the best in the episode. It's layered, emotional, and painfully honest that by the end of it, Tommy doesn't have to say much. The silence between them is louder than any gunshot. It's the silence of understanding, Tommy realizing D-Mac's too far gone for advice, and D-Mac realizing he just lost the only person who truly had his back. That's why this scene hits different. It's not the confrontation itself. It's what it sets in motion. Tommy's warning isn't just a check, it's a prophecy. And if D-Mac keeps moving the way he's been, that prophecy's going to come true sooner than he thinks. This confrontation between Tommy and D-Mac isn't just a clash between mentor and student. It's the breaking point between blood and business. Up until now, Tommy has treated D-Mac like family, like someone worth saving. But after this scene, everything changes. What once felt like protection now feels like punishment. The loyalty that once connected them has turned into tension, tight, fragile, and ready to snap. Tommy's trying to keep his empire clean and his nephew alive, But D-Mac's ego is making both jobs impossible. And the worst part? Neither of them can see how deep the damage goes. D-Mac walks around like he's bulletproof, like he can move the way Tommy moves and get the same respect. But Tommy earned that respect through blood and loss. D-Mac is still trying to skip this struggle, chasing a crown that he hasn't bled for. That's the difference between them. A Tommy knows the cost of power. D-Mac just wants the look of it. He doesn't understand that the streets don't reward ambition without discipline. They eat you alive when you think you're ready, but you're not. And Tommy can see it. He can see his nephew walking toward a grave he's digging himself. In episode 2, that's the quiet tragedy. D-Mac isn't just making dumb choices. He's becoming the kind of person Tommy used to destroy. The show plays this beautifully. The lighting's colder, the air between them sharper, and every glance feels like a warning. D-Mac's pride has blinded him to who Tommy really is, not just an uncle, not just a mentor, but a survivor who's seen this story end badly before. You can almost hear the unspoken message behind Tommy's frustration. Don't make me treat you like the others. That's the heartbreak here. Tommy doesn't want to lose D-Mac to the streets, but he's starting to realize he might not have a choice. What makes their relationship fascinating is that both of them are right in their own way. D-Mac's tired of being told what to do, tired of being in someone else's shadow. He wants to prove he can handle himself. That hunger is real. It's the same fire Tommy once had. But Tommy knows where that road leads. He's spent his whole life trying to escape the mistakes he made chasing that same fire. So when he checks D-Mac, it's not just to put him in line, it's to stop him from becoming the worst version of himself. It's an act of protection disguised as punishment. Still, D-Mac doesn't see that. To him, Tommy's control feels like chains. Every warning feels like disrespect. He doesn't realize that Tommy's checking him isn't about dominance. It's about survival. But that's the tragedy of youth. You mistake discipline for control, advice for criticism. D-Mac doesn't understand that Tommy's not the enemy. He's the last person keeping him from becoming one. The more he rebels, the more he distances himself from the one man who's actually fighting for him. And that's what makes this moment so emotionally heavy. It's not anger that drives Tommy's reaction, it's fear. Because Tommy knows what's coming. He's seen it too many times. The smart ones who thought they were untouchable. The loyal ones who let pride ruin them. He's trying to stop D-Mac from joining that list. But you can see in his eyes, he's already preparing for the worst. There's this weight to Tommy's presence, like he's saying goodbye before it even happens. And that's when you realize this isn't just a fight. It's the start of a fallout. The streets don't forgive pride, and neither does Tommy when loyalty turns to chaos. The symbolism in this episode makes that clear. The color tones are muted, the pacing slower, almost like the show itself is mourning what's being lost. Tommy stands in the light, D-Mac stands in the shadows. It's subtle, but powerful. It's the visual way of saying that Tommy's still fighting to stay grounded, while D-Mac is drifting into darkness. Their conversation might end, but the damage doesn't. You can tell this moment is going to haunt both of them, Tommy because he couldn't save him, and D-Mac because he refused to listen. And that's what makes this storyline hit so hard. It's not just another gangster argument, it's family falling apart in real time. It's pride eating loyalty alive. It's Tommy realizing that maybe he can't protect everyone, and D-Mac realizing too late that he's losing the only person who ever truly cared about him. The emotion here is raw but quiet, not shouted, just felt. It's the kind of heartbreak that Power Book 4 Force does best. No tears, just silence and consequences. By the end of this section, you understand something deeper. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about how pride destroys connection. D-Mac wants power without patience. Tommy wants control without compassion. And between them lies the truth neither wants to face. That love in this world doesn't save you. It only delays the inevitable. Tommy might have checked D-Mac this time, but if something doesn't change soon, that check's going to turn into a goodbye. And when that happens, Tommy won't just lose his nephew, he'll lose the last piece of himself that still believes redemption is possible. Every choice has a cost in Tommy's world. And episode 2 of Power Book 4 Force proves that the price of pride is always the highest. After Tommy checks D-Mac, the silence that follows feels heavier than a gunshot. It's not just a quiet moment, it's the calm before the emotional storm. This scene plants a seed that's going to grow through the rest of the season, a mix of guilt, anger, and misunderstanding that neither of them can escape from. What we're seeing here isn't just a clash. It's the start of consequences that are about to ripple through everyone around them. Tommy's world has always been built on two things: loyalty and fear. He keeps people close enough to trust, but far enough to control. D-Mac, on the other hand, wants loyalty without the fear. He doesn't want to be ruled, he wants to be respected. But respect in Tommy's world doesn't come free. It's earned, it's paid for, and most of the time, it's paid for in blood. When D-Mac stands up to Tommy, he thinks he's gaining independence. What he's really doing is testing the limits of Tommy's mercy. And Tommy's mercy doesn't stretch far when it's challenged by family betrayal. This episode paints that theme perfectly: the danger of confusing love with weakness. Tommy loves D-Mac, but love doesn't make him soft. If anything, it makes him colder, more controlled, more dangerous. Because when you mix emotion with business, something always breaks. That's what we're seeing here. Tommy's not mad at D-Mac for the mistake. He's mad because D-Mac made him feel. And feelings get you killed in the game. Every time Tommy tries to care, someone turns that care into a weapon against him. So now he's caught between two versions of himself. The uncle who wants to save D-Mac and the boss who knows saving him might destroy everything he's built for D-Mac. This moment is his test, the street's version of a final exam. He's at that point where one wrong move could erase everything. You can almost see the change in his eyes by the end of the scene. The confidence fades, replaced by a quiet mix of fear and confusion. He doesn't want to admit it, but Tommy's words hit him. Deep down, he knows he's not ready for this life, but pride won't let him say it. That's what makes him dangerous, not because he's powerful, but because he's desperate to prove he is. And desperation in this world always ends badly. The writers of Power Book 4 Force use this moment to say something bigger about the cycle of power and pain. D-Mac represents the new generation, hungry, reckless, emotional, while Tommy is the old guard, seasoned, scarred, and tired of repeating the same mistakes. It's like watching history repeat itself in slow motion. Tommy once was D-Mac. He fought against authority, thought he knew better, and paid the price. Now he's trying to stop that same story from replaying, but it's already too late. You can't rewrite someone's pride. You can only watch it burn. From a storytelling point of view, this is one of the most layered scenes in the entire season. It's not flashy, there's no gunfire, but the emotional violence is louder than any shootout. Every look, every pause, every line is loaded with meaning. It's a story about control. Who has it? Who's losing it? And who's pretending they never needed it in the first place? Tommy's check isn't about humiliation, it's about warning. It's his way of saying, you're about to cross a line you can't come back from. And that's the beauty of this moment. It's raw truth disguised as anger. Fans have been buzzing about this online, calling D-Mac the new Tariq, saying he's got that same mix of intelligence and stupidity that makes you root for him and yell at him at the same time. But here's the difference. D-Mac doesn't have Ghost to balance him out. He only has Tommy, and Tommy's lessons come in pain, not patience. The fan reactions prove how powerful this episode is. Everyone's split. Some say Tommy went too far, others say D-Mac needed that wake-up call. But that's exactly how good storytelling works. It makes you take sides, even when both are wrong thematically. This episode touches on something deep, the idea that family in the streets is both armor and poison. It protects you, but it also traps you. Tommy wants to shield D-Mac, but he can't do that without turning into the same kind of enforcer he swore he'd never be again. And D-Mac wants to be free, but his freedom means betraying the man who kept him alive. It's a cruel loop, one that defines Power Book 4: force, love that hurts, loyalty that kills, and ambition that never sleeps. As the story moves forward, you can already sense where it's heading. This wasn't just a single fight, it was a warning shot. Tommy's patience is running out, and D-Mac's arrogance is just heating up. Something's going to break. Maybe it's their relationship. Maybe it's the Empire. But one thing's for sure, the next time Tommy has to check D-Mac, it won't be with words. It'll be with action. And when that happens, it'll be too late to fix anything. That's what makes episode 2 unforgettable. It's not about who won the argument. It's about what the argument awakened. It turned a nephew into a rival, and a mentor into a man preparing for loss. It's the point where loyalty becomes a gamble and love becomes a liability. And in Tommy's world, once something turns into a liability, it doesn't last long. This isn't just a scene. It's a prophecy. The Max fall has begun, and Tommy's warning was the first step down that path. Now all that's left is to see whether D-Mac learns before the streets teach him, and if he doesn't, Tommy won't just lose his nephew. He'll lose the last bit of his soul still capable of caring.